Before we enter into today's prophetic message, I want to pause for just a moment. I need to thank you, yes, you. Over the past days, so many new people have joined this channel. Many of you came here out of curiosity, others because you were searching for answers, and some were led here by what can only be described as divine guidance. However you arrived, hear me clearly. You did not land here by accident. You are here because heaven has something to say to you. You are here because the Virgin has marked this exact moment for your heart. To those of you who have been with me from the very beginning, thank you for your loyalty. And to those of you who just arrived, welcome. You're no longer strangers or mere spectators. From this moment on, you are part of something greater. You are now my lights. And what does it mean to be a light? It means you shine, even in the thick of the night. It means you might look small or fragile, but even a single spark can light up an entire room. It means you refuse to be extinguished, even when the darkness tries to smother everything around you. Write this in the comments right now. I am a light of the Virgin. Declare it with faith because heaven listens to every word you release. My lights, today I'm not here to simply repeat something you've already heard. I am not here to fill your ears with empty words. I'm here to share with you a prophetic moment that has been marked, the prophecy of September 3rd. This date is not a coincidence. It is not just another day on the calendar. It is the continuation of what we saw on August 28th. If that day was the awakening, then September 3rd will be the beginning of the consequences. September 3rd will not be an ordinary day. It will be an echo from heaven itself, reverberating in every soul, reminding us that the time of indifference is over. August 28th was the call, the bell that opened millions of eyes. September 3rd will be the confirmation, the moment when what was revealed begins to unfold in reality. Some will experience deep peace because they chose the light. Others will feel an unbearable restlessness because they rejected the call. Whole families will either be upheld by prayer or collapse into arguments and fear. Nations that mock the signs will begin to shake, while humble communities rooted in faith will shine like beacons through the storm. My lights, do not be afraid. September 3rd does not come to destroy you, but to sustain you. Yet only those who remain awake will understand. That's why I want you to write in the comments your country's name followed by this phrase, my nation will shine with light. Do it now, because every word written here is a seed of hope planted in the soil of heaven. Understand this well, you are not alone, and you didn't stumble here by chance. Heaven has gathered you in this very moment like a lamp gathers the moths of the night. Together, my lights, we will walk into the revelation of what the Virgin has prepared for September 3rd. What comes in the next blocks will not always be easy to hear. It will stretch you, confront you, and stir you, but it will also sustain you, because only those willing to face the truth can stand firm when the storm finally breaks. The clock is ticking, the day is approaching, and what now sounds like a whisper will soon become heaven's roar. My lights, what we are living did not start today. Weeks, some of you would say months, have been humming with the same strange undercurrent, the same quiet pressure in the air, as if heaven was slowly turning the dimmer switch of the world and inviting us to notice. You felt it in the pause of conversations, in the way sunsets have seemed unnecessarily dramatic, in the sudden silence that falls over a room for no obvious reason. There is a spiritual weather, and it has been changing. In homes, the signs are small but stubborn. The moment a child asks an unusually deep question at the dinner table, "Mom, do you think God is talking to us?" and everyone looks up in the same heartbeat, the way an old family Bible just happens to fall open to a page that reads like it was written this morning, the night a grandfather who never shows emotion wipes his eyes during grace. And no one knows why, but everyone feels why. These aren't random. They are gentle knocks on the door of the heart. Some of you have seen it in your sleep, dreams that arrive in crisp color, fields at dusk lit by a single flame that never flickers, a bell that rings once, twice, 3 times, but you can't find the tower, a road split in two, and a hand stretching out from the brighter path saying nothing, just waiting. Others have woken at 3 a.m., not panicked, not exactly calm, simply aware, as if someone whispered your name just softly enough to keep it sacred. Type this with me in the comments. I am awake, not as a slogan. Say it like a vow. Your heart needs to hear your mouth promise it. In neighborhoods, there is a subtle awkwardness between strangers who used to pass without a nod. You've noticed noticed it. A delivery driver pausing on the porch a second longer than normal. Two people standing at a crosswalk, starting to speak at the same time, and then both stopping, both smiling, both unsure why they felt the urge to talk at all. Anxiety is up, yes, but so is tenderness. People are brittle and people are kind. That's what happens when heaven leans close, edges sharpen, and hearts soften all at once. In cities, the early signs are a choreography of small misalignments. Traffic lights glitching for a few beats in the middle of the day, sirens that cut through the afternoon and then disappear without explanation, birds circling and then perching in neat rows on the power lines like notes on a staff, as though creation itself were reading music you cannot yet hear. In the headlines, words like uncertainty, fragile, unprecedented repeat like a drum pattern. And while experts debate the data, your soul registers something older than graphs, a nearing. Write your city and country below with the phrase, Lord, cover my land. Post it as lightly as a breath and know that heaven counts it as a petition. Inside families, conversations swing like a pendulum, deep and holy, tense and defensive, sometimes within the same 10 minutes. A teenage daughter confesses she's been praying in secret. A father closes his laptop and admits he hasn't been sleeping well. A grandmother says she's been hearing a hymn in her head she hasn't sung since childhood. No one knows how to explain this without sounding dramatic. Explain nothing. Receive everything. Early signs are gifts, not arguments to be won. And yet, the other side is real too. Some feel more irritated than inspired. Some roll their eyes at any mention of signs. Some laugh to hide how unsettled they feel. That's okay. Resistance is still a form of contact. When light arrives, every heart reacts somehow. Your task is not to force belief. Your task is to stay bright. Say out loud where you are, I choose gentleness. Type it if you can. Gentleness is not the absence of conviction. It is conviction warmed by love. In parishes and churches, the liturgy has been doing what liturgy does, carrying us when we cannot carry ourselves. But lately, many of you told me this, the silence before communion feels fuller, the homily cuts straighter, and the final blessing lands like a hand on your head that lingers a second longer than it used to. Priests who were tired have found new voice. Others are quieter, but their eyes say more. In small chapels and big cathedrals, across denominations and traditions, a hush has been moving like a tide through the pews. It is not emptiness, it is expectancy. If you've felt this even once, write, I have felt the hush. Your admission will steady someone who thinks they imagined it. Pets are unsettled. Dogs bark at corners. Cats stare past your shoulder. The wind pauses mid-sentence, then resumes. Lamps flicker exactly when you say the name Mary. A child's crayon drawing shows a sky colored in a shade you can't name, and a small figure holding a lantern. The early signs love the ordinary. They hide in the laundry room, in the school pickup line, in the microwave beep at 12:34 p.m. They're heaven's way of meeting you where you live, not where you pretend to live. And yes, there are the bigger premonitions too. Skies that blush at uncommon hours. Soft tremors of conscience that make the strongest people feel strangely fragile. The sense that time itself has been walking a little bit closer behind you as you move through your day. Think of it like a hallway. We have been walking down this corridor for a while now, and the noise from the room at the end is no longer muffled. On September 3rd, the door will open. My lights, do not confuse early signs with deadlines. They are invitations, not ultimatums. They ask for readiness, not panic. Readiness looks like this: 5 quiet minutes before breakfast, a sincere sorry sent to the right person, a small candle lit not for decoration but for presence, a psalm whispered when your mind wants to scroll. The September 3rd grace will find you more easily if you are already facing toward it. Use the comments as a small chapel and pray with me now. Virgin Mother, keep my eyes open and my heart soft. That prayer is armor and oil at the same time. At the level of nations, the early signs are paradoxes. Some economies rise on paper while neighborhoods feel poorer in spirit. Policy debates multiply, but fewer people actually feel heard. Speeches get longer and say less. Business as usual is both insisted upon and increasingly unbelievable. This is not about sides. It is about souls. Whole countries are tired. Whole countries are ready. The Virgin's call is not a party line. It is a lifeline. In the digital world, the world where so many of us now live, notice the rhythms. Trending cycles flash and vanish faster than a spark. spark. Outrage has an even shorter half-life. Yet underneath the noise, the posts that last are the simple ones. A grandmother's prayer card, a soldier's 3-word plea, a teenager's midnight "I'm scared" answered by strangers who call themselves family. The algorithm forgets, but heaven does not. Share this video, yes, but do it like a blessing, not like a blast. Write to a friend privately, "Hey, if you've been feeling weird lately, this might help." When light travels at the speed of love, it always arrives on time. There are also countersigns, and we should name them gently. Fatigue that lingers even when you rest. Sudden cynicism that didn't used to be your style. A desire to isolate right when you most need companionship. Those are not proof that you're failing. They're proof that you're targeted by hope. When you notice them, breathe and answer with a tiny act of light. Wash one dish, send one kind text, say, "Come, Holy Spirit," one time with attention. Light loves small doors. Write, "Small doors, big light." It will look simple in the comments, but it will echo where it matters most. What about fear? Yes, it shows up. Fear always tries to arrive 10 minutes before grace, hoping to claim the best seat. When fear comes, let it sit down, but don't serve it tea. Name it kindly, "I see you, but you don't get to drive." Then speak a braver sentence right over it. "I will not be alone on September 3rd, because you won't. The Virgin does not gather us just to scatter us. She gathers us to guard us." In some places, you will notice a string of coincidences that are not coincidences. You meet the same person twice in one day, accidentally, and their story is your story. You open your messaging app exactly as someone types, "Can you pray for me?" A song you haven't heard for 20 years finds you in a grocery store aisle and says precisely what your heart needed to hear. The veil is thinning, not to entertain you, but to reassure you. You are seen. So let me say this plainly. September 3rd is not a rumor we repeat. It is a reality we prepare for. The early signs are not there to make you superstitious. They are there to make you attentive. Attentive to your own soul first. Attentive to your home second. Attentive to your city. Attentive to your nation. Attentive to the church. Attentive to the stranger who is also secretly your brother. Subscribe if you haven't yet, not as a number but as a belonging. Here you do not walk alone. Here your light strengthens mine, and mine strengthens yours. We will need that in the days to come. Before we end this block, I want you to do 3 small things that will matter far more than they look. Put your hand over your heart and whisper, "I will be ready." Type your nation's name with the words, "We will not walk in darkness." Share one early sign you've noticed, small or big, in the comments. Your story will help someone else recognize their own. The clock keeps ticking. The hallway is almost over. In the next block, we will speak about how these signs intensify, how they rise from whisper to shout, from nudge to summons, until September 3rd arrives like a bell that no one can pretend not to hear. My lights. Whispers don't stay whispers forever. A dripping faucet eventually floods the sink. A flicker in the corner of your eye eventually becomes the light you can't ignore. And what has been quiet, what has been subtle, what has been politely nudging, will now grow louder. The signs leading to September 3rd will no longer be background noise. They will step into the center of the stage. Picture a glass filled drop by drop. For weeks it has been rising. On September 3rd, the cup will tip, and before that moment, the drops will quicken, the surface will tremble, and your soul will feel the weight of something is about to happen. In families, arguments will flare over nothing. A spoon clattering on the table will spark shouting matches that feel outsized. Hidden wounds will rise like ghosts, old betrayals reopened, bitter silences stretched across dinner plates. But listen, that same night, in another home, forgiveness will break in like dawn. A son will whisper, "I'm sorry," through tears. A wife and husband, one step from divorce, will find themselves holding hands in a way they thought impossible. September 3rd is a revealer. The hidden cannot stay hidden. Type this in the comments. My family belongs to the light. Write it with conviction, because that declaration will become a wall of fire around your home. In cities, the air itself will shift. Streets you know like the back of your hand will feel different. Some will describe it as calm, so thick it's unnerving. Others as a pressure pressing down from the sky. Streetlights may fail in clusters. Crowds will hush at once, looking around as if they all heard the same invisible bell. And news reports will scramble to explain unusual lights seen over multiple cities. Residents disturbed disturbed by unexplained sounds. Scientists will speculate, but hearts will know. I want you to comment your city and add, "Lord, guard this place." Your words will not vanish into the ether. They will mark your ground with light. At the national level, governments will falter. Policies will flip-flop within hours. Leaders who once spoke with confidence will look unsure, stumbling over their own words. Entire nations will feel the floorboards creak beneath them. What looked solid will shake. What looked eternal will show its cracks. People will ask, who is actually leading us? Who can we trust? And in the middle of the confusion, the Virgin's whisper will grow louder. Trust the light. In the church, contrasts will sharpen. Some sanctuaries will overflow, packed shoulder to shoulder, people praying with tears streaming down their faces. Others will echo with emptiness, as if their flame had long ago gone out. Priests will either tremble in silence or roar with authority not their own. The Spirit will separate the true from the false, the faithful from the lukewarm. September 3rd is not only a date, it is a line drawn. My lights, don't be surprised if the intensity unsettles you. Don't mistake it for punishment. It is revelation. When the light grows stronger, shadows are forced to show themselves. It is not cruelty, it is clarity. Write this in the comments. I will not fear clarity, because many fear truth more than lies, but not you, not the lights. You were chosen to endure the brightness. In communities, neighbors will notice things they cannot deny. Flocks of birds circling at odd hours, sudden silences in crowded parks, unexplainable chills running through groups at once. Kids will draw skies split with strange colors. Grandmothers will pray rosaries until their beads wear thin. This is not hysteria, it is preparation. And in the digital space, confusion will explode. Some will post videos mocking believers. Others will testify with trembling voices about what they saw, what they heard. Memes and prophecies will collide. Skepticism and faith clashing in comment sections like swords. Do not be dragged into endless arguments. Testify simply, I was there. I know what I felt. Heaven spoke. No debate can erase a witness. My lights, September 3rd, will not sneak up like a thief. It will arrive like a bell ringing in every room at once. Before that day, the intensifying signs will remind you, get ready. Ready hearts are not panicked hearts. They are steady hearts. Say this aloud right now and type it if you can. Virgin Mother, steady me. That prayer is an anchor in the rising storm. The clock is not pausing. It ticks louder each day. And in the next block, I will tell you how these intensifying signs will reach a breaking point. How humanity will be pushed to a decision it cannot avoid when September 3rd comes. My lights, there comes a moment when waiting is no longer possible, when the weight in the air presses so heavily that every heart must decide which way it will lean. That moment is not a theory, not a story. It is approaching, and on September 3rd, it will come. The tension that has been stretching, the rope pulled tighter and tighter, will vibrate until it hums across the world. No one will be able to pretend it is not happening. Families will feel it first. A strange fire will ignite inside their walls. Some households will suddenly fall into a holy quiet, a peace that makes no sense but settles on every chair and bed. Prayers will spill naturally from lips that have been silent for years. But in other homes, panic will rule. Arguments will break out. Doors will slam. Fear will crawl along the floorboards. It will feel like the house itself is choosing whether it will be sanctuary or battlefield. Write this in the comments. My home chooses peace. Type it boldly, because heaven honors what is declared in faith. Cities will not escape it either. Imagine walking down the street and realizing everyone around you has stopped mid-step, as if the world collectively inhaled and forgot to exhale. The air will thicken. Some will describe it as oppressive. Others will say it felt holy. The same silence will press on everyone, but not everyone will interpret it the same way. That is how revelation works. It is the same light, but each heart sees it differently. News anchors will fumble through explanations. They will call it mass hysteria, collective stress, environmental phenomenon, but the people will know. You will know, because silence that deep does not come from man. It descends from heaven. My lights, I want you to write your country with this phrase, Lord, open the eyes of my nation, because while some will awaken, others will try to close their eyes even tighter. Your prayer can become the crack that lets the light seep in. Nations will wobble. Leaders will look terrified behind podiums. Some will try to spin calm. Others will scramble with excuses. Policies will be rushed. Decrees signed without thought. But under every speech will run the same unspoken truth. Something Something larger than government has entered the stage. Human control will look paper-thin against it, and in the church, the fire will burn brightest. In some sanctuaries, the spirit will roar. People collapsing in prayer, songs breaking out unplanned, altars glowing with more than candlelight. In others, the silence will weigh heavy, exposing hearts that long ago stopped believing. Priests will either tremble in fear or stand taller than ever, words flowing through them that they themselves know did not come from their notes. My lights, make no mistake, September 3rd will demand a decision. There will be no room for neutrality. No longer will "I don't care" or maybe later be options. Every heart, every home, every church, every nation will stand at a fork in the road. Light or shadow, faith or denial, awakening or confusion. Say this with me now, type it with me. I choose the light, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Today, because what you decide now strengthens what you will stand on when the silence falls. Do not be afraid. Fear is not the assignment of the lights. While others collapse under the weight, you will stand like lamps unshaken. While others scream, you will be calm. While others hide, you will shine. That is your calling. That is why heaven named you lights. And understand this, the decision does not rest on perfection. It rests on direction. The light does not demand that you have never fallen. It only demands that you choose to rise. Mercy is still open, but the time of indifference is closing. The clock does not stall. It keeps pounding forward. In the next block, I will tell you how this decision will not only shake nations and families, but will sink into the very center of every soul. How on September 3rd, the greatest battle will not be outside of you, but inside of you. My lights. Up to now, we've spoken of signs in the skies, in the cities, in families, and in nations, but the most decisive battlefield of September 3rd will not be on the streets or in parliaments or even in churches. The fiercest battle will take place inside the human heart, because what good is it if the world trembles, but your soul stays asleep? September 3rd will be the day when the veil inside every person is torn back, and no one, not one, will be able to avoid it. On that day, some will feel fire in their chest. Not the fire of fear, but the burning of conviction. Words of prayer will rise to their lips that they didn't plan, that they didn't even know they remembered. Others, though, will feel a crushing weight pressing down, a hollowness so heavy it's almost unbearable. They'll look around and see nothing different, but inside, everything will be shaking. This is the inner war, light and shadow wrestling for the throne of every heart. Some will weep without knowing why, streams of tears cleansing years of hardness. Others will laugh, not mockingly, but with the freedom of a prisoner suddenly released. Still others will feel such peace that they'll wonder if heaven itself brushed against their skin. It will be impossible to deny that something unseen has invaded the scene. Write in the comments, "Lord, strengthen my heart." Say it and type it, because on the battlefield of the soul, strength does not come from willpower. It comes from surrender. Prayers will no longer feel routine. A simple "Our Father" will land like thunder. A whispered Hail Mary will feel like warm oil poured over wounds. Even those who never prayed before will suddenly find words spilling out of them, as if someone else were gently guiding their tongue. That someone is the Virgin interceding for her children. Dreams will also become stages of revelation. Some will dream of cities covered in darkness, with only one lamp shining in the distance. Others will hear bells that ring without towers. Some will see loved ones calling them to choose. People will wake with tears on their cheeks, or with joy pounding in their chests, or with an urgency they can't shake off. The night will no longer be escape. It will be encounter. But beware, my lights. The enemy will also work hard in this inner war. Doubts will whisper, "This is just your imagination." Cynicism will murmur, "Life will go back to normal, nothing matters." These are lies meant to steal the truth right out of your hands. Recognize them, reject them. Say this now: "I will not let my faith die." Write it too. Every declaration of faith is like a sword cutting through the fog of deception. On September 3rd, the inner mirror will be unavoidable. Every person will see themselves as they truly are, what they've chosen, what they've neglected, what they've hidden. For some, this will be terrifying. For others, liberating. For all, it will be an opportunity, the final warning before choices are sealed. Remember, this is not condemnation. It is mercy. Heaven is saying, look at yourself now before the final judgment, so you still have time to change. It is a gift disguised as confrontation. Families Families will feel it too. Parents will realize the times they withheld affection. Children will remember harsh words they threw like daggers. Friends will recall betrayals they thought forgotten. The pain will sting, but it will also heal. Because when light reveals, it reveals not to shame, but to restore. Type this with me. I accept the truth of my life, because truth accepted becomes truth transformed. In prisons, inmates will weep with sincerity, turning cells into chapels. In hospitals, patients will see their lives flash with clarity, and some will die in peace after reconciling with God in their final breath. In schools, children will speak of visions so innocent and pure that adults will be undone. The light will not skip anyone. Even those who deny God will face the mirror. They may call it panic, psychology, hysteria, but inside they will know. They will know. My lights, don't run from the inner battle. Don't hide. Don't fear. Because it is in this battlefield that the greatest victories are won. When the light exposes what you've hidden, it is not to humiliate you, but to free you, to break the chains you forgot you were even carrying, to heal the wounds you thought were permanent. On September 3rd, the choice won't just be external. It will be the raw, intimate choice of your heart. Cling to the light or cling to the shadows. The clock is ticking closer. In the next block, I will reveal how this inner battle won't remain locked inside individuals, but will ripple outward, shaking families, communities, and entire nations with consequences too visible to deny. My lights, the time has come to lift the veil just a little. Up until now, we have spoken of signs, of tension, of the inner war that each soul must face. But September 3rd will not be just whispers, not just preparation. It will be a day of manifestation, a day when heaven places its hand on the earth in a way no one can deny. From the earliest hours, the atmosphere will feel altered. Many will wake with an unexplainable weight in their chest, not fear exactly, but a holy anticipation. Some will rise with tears in their eyes before they even know why. Others will describe it as if the air itself felt closer, thicker, almost electric. The day will announce itself before the sun fully rises. By midday, the first revelation will come. Across different regions of the world, simultaneously, the sky will shift. It will not be an eclipse, not a storm, not any known weather. The heavens will take on colors never seen before. Gold that seems alive, silver that moves like water. In some places, clouds will shine as though lit from within. In others, the horizon will glow as if fire and ice had kissed. News stations will scramble to show images. Scientists will rush to offer explanations. But every heart will know this is not ordinary. This is not chance. The sky itself is declaring the hour. Type this in the comments: Lord, open my eyes to your light, because only those who remain awake will understand what these skies are saying. But the sky will not be the only messenger. Along with it will come a silence so deep, so penetrating, that it will feel like the earth is holding its breath. Cars will stall, birds will freeze mid-flight, conversations will stop in the middle of sentences. The entire creation will pause as if waiting for something unspeakably sacred. In that silence, hearts will ignite. Some will hear a voice inside whispering, "Come back." Others will feel warmth spreading through their chest, so tender they will break into sobs. Still others will see memories flash before their eyes, moments of kindness forgotten, sins hidden away, wounds left untreated. Each soul will know this silence is not emptiness, it is presence. Families gathered in living rooms will suddenly hold hands without planning to. Strangers in the street will look into each other's eyes and nod as if to say, "You feel it too." The silence will not divide, it will reveal, but not everyone will embrace it. Some will cover their ears, some will panic, some will shout insults, trying to drown out what they cannot face. The light does not force itself, but it confronts. Every soul will know it is being asked to respond. Write this in the comments: Heaven will speak and I will listen. Because readiness is not about having all the answers, it is about saying yes when the voice comes. Governments will try to downplay it. Scientists will argue over data, yet even as they debate, inside their own hearts they will know they have no explanation. The light will bypass podiums and laboratories and land directly in the core of each soul. The church will also feel it. Some parishes will burst into spontaneous praise. People will flood confessionals. Altars will shine with a radiance no lamp produced. Others, however, will remain cold, the silence hanging like a judgment over walls where faith had long ago grown stale. September 3rd will separate not just individuals, but communities. My lights don't fear this unveiling. It is not wrath, it is mercy. It is not meant to crush, it is meant to awaken. For too long, many have lived asleep, lulled by the noise of the world. September 3rd will be heaven's alarm clock, ringing for all. The unveiling has begun. The first strokes of the brush are painting the sky, and soon the canvas will be complete. But understand this: what I have told you so far is only the beginning. The deeper revelations, the consequences, the full force of the prophecy are still ahead. The clock keeps ticking, and in the next block, I will show you what these revelations will mean, the concrete consequences that will ripple through families, nations, and the church itself on September 3rd. My lights. Revelation is never neutral. When heaven speaks, the earth responds. September 3rd will not simply be a day of unusual skies or sacred silence. It will be a day of consequences, when the hidden surfaces and what has been ignored demands to be faced. In families, buried truths will rise. Secrets long hidden will suddenly come to light, not through arguments, but through conviction pressing on the heart. Parents will see clearly the wounds their children carry. Children will realize the humanity of their parents, their weakness, their brokenness. Some homes will be shaken to the core, others will be healed in an instant. A family that had not spoken in decades will suddenly gather at a table, tears replacing bitterness. Another family will confront pain too long ignored. September 3rd will draw the line between hiding and healing. Write this in the comments: my family will be restored, because confession opens the door for heaven's restoration. In cities, systems will falter. Power grids may flicker out without explanation, leaving neighborhoods in sudden darkness. Even at midday, entire streets will glow with nothing but candlelight. But in those shadows, neighbors will find each other. People who never spoke will stand shoulder to shoulder, singing softly, praying aloud, clinging to hope. In other neighborhoods, fear will dominate, arguments, confusion, even chaos. The difference will not be the outage, it will be the response. Say it with me now: Lord, you are my light in the darkness. That declaration will keep your spirit steady if the lights around you go out. On the national stage, instability will shake the powers of the world. Leaders who looked unshakable will tremble. Decisions will be reversed within hours. The masks of certainty will slip. Whole populations will realize how fragile their institutions are, and some nations will rise in prayer while others sink deeper into denial. September 3rd will reveal that no throne built on sand can endure. In the church, fire and frost will appear side by side. In one parish, confession lines will stretch out the door. In another, pews will remain empty, as though the silence itself testified against long, cold faith. Some ministers will be pierced to the heart, confessing their own hidden doubts before their people, tears breaking their pride. Others will shrink back, unwilling to confront the light. September 3rd will separate the living from the lukewarm. My lights understand these consequences are not cruelty, they are mercy. They are heaven's way of saying, wake up, because time is shorter than you think. What looks like unraveling is actually revelation. Truth breaking through lies, light exposing what the shadow tried to hide. Type this in the comments: as for me and my house, we will serve the light. Declare it, for your declaration can ripple beyond your own walls into the heart of your community. Communities will be transformed. Some will become havens of prayer. You will see families gather in courtyards, singing and weeping, holding hands, declaring faith openly for the first time. In other places, mockery will spread. People will scoff, calling believers naive, desperate, weak. But in the end, the contrast will shine even brighter. Hope here, despair there, courage in one corner, confusion in the other. September 3rd will make the choice visible. Do not be surprised if nations are humbled. What seemed untouchable will falter. What seemed unshakable will bow. September 3rd will not destroy, but it will expose. And once something is exposed, it can no longer hide. Share this message, not because it makes you feel strong, but because someone near you will collapse under the weight of that day unless they hear now. The light has already chosen to fight for you. The clock ticks on. And in the next block, I will reveal how this light will not only shake what is outside, but will also illuminate every soul with a mirror of truth, a moment of clarity no one can avoid. My lights. If everything we've spoken about so far feels heavy, the skies changing, nations trembling, families shaking, understand this: the greatest weight of September 3rd will not be in the air above you or the ground beneath you. It will be inside you. That day day will be remembered as the moment every person on earth looked into the clearest mirror they have ever faced, the mirror of their own soul. This is what the Virgin has whispered for generations, that a time would come when every heart would be confronted with the truth of who they are, not through accusation, but through illumination. On September 3rd, heaven will pull back the veil, and you will see yourself as God sees you. Some will collapse in tears, realizing how little love they gave compared to how much they could have given. Parents will suddenly remember the words they withheld, the hugs they denied. Children will recall the sharp insults they threw like stones. Friends will feel the sting of betrayals they thought long buried. This will hurt, but it will heal, because the light only reveals to restore. Type this in the comments: Lord, show me the truth of my heart. Write it not as fear, but as courage, because those who invite truth will also receive mercy. Others will weep for a different reason: joy. People who had forgotten their small acts of kindness will suddenly see them glow like diamonds in heaven's ledger. A whispered prayer in a hospital hallway, a meal shared with someone who had nothing, a word of encouragement spoken at the exact right time. These acts will not have been forgotten. They will shine, reminding every soul that nothing done in love ever disappears. Even those who deny God will face this mirror. They will call it hysteria, psychology, a panic attack, but in their hearts they will know. The experience will be too real, too personal, too piercing. No one will escape the clarity. Write this with me: I accept the truth of my life, because truth accepted becomes truth transformed. In hospitals, patients will see their lives flash before them with startling clarity. Some will whisper confessions with their last breaths and pass into peace. In prisons, men hardened by violence will weep like children, cells turning into chapels of redemption. In schools, children will speak of visions so innocent and radiant that adults will be silenced by their purity. The light will skip no one. Understand this, my lights. This is not the final judgment. It is a warning wrapped in mercy, a preview of eternity given so that no one can say later, I didn't know. On September 3rd, everyone will know. Some will respond with surrender, throwing themselves into the arms of mercy. Others will harden, clenching their fists even tighter, refusing the light. That is where the great division will occur, not between good and bad people, but between those who accept truth and those who resist it. Do not fear this revelation. Fear is the enemy's language. The light does not come to humiliate, it comes to heal. It does not come to condemn, it comes to free. Share this message, because someone near you may face this mirror unprepared and collapse into despair unless they know beforehand. The light reveals so you can rise, not so you can fall. The clock is racing forward. In the next block, I will show you how this illumination of each soul will not remain private. It will ripple outward, transforming families, neighborhoods, entire nations into either sanctuaries of prayer or landscapes of chaos. My lights, September 3rd, will not remain hidden in the private corners of hearts. The inner mirror, once revealed, will spill outward like a flood. What was seen in secret will echo in the open. Families, communities, and even entire nations will feel the shockwave of heaven's unveiling. And in that moment, the climax will arrive, the voice of heaven itself. In homes, everything will change in an instant. Some families will collapse into each other's arms, forgiveness washing away years of silence. Brothers and sisters who hadn't spoken will embrace with sobs. Parents will call children they disowned. Children will rush to parents they abandoned. Love will break chains that had strangled households for decades. But in other homes, rage will rise. Shouting, slamming doors, bitter accusations. The light will expose what the shadows had fed on, and not everyone will choose to heal. Type this with me: my house chooses reconciliation, because heaven listens when you declare peace over your walls. In neighborhoods, the streets themselves will feel transformed. In some, groups will gather spontaneously, candles in hand, singing or praying aloud. Entire blocks will become sanctuaries under the night sky. But in other places, chaos will erupt. Fear-driven mobs, arguments spilling into violence, confusion thick as smoke. September 3rd will not create division. It will expose what was already there. Cities will buzz with reports. Skies glowing in unearthly colors. Silence is so deep that traffic stopped mid-motion. People falling to their knees in public squares. Social media will explode. Some mocking, some testifying. Millions unable to stay quiet. Governments will be powerless to explain or contain what is happening. For one global moment, every every human being will know the same presence has arrived. My lights, this is when the climax will strike. In the thick silence, after the skies shift and the hearts are pierced, a voice will rise, not from speakers, not from clouds, but from everywhere and nowhere, inside and outside at once. Every soul will hear the same three sentences: return to the Father, take my hand, do not let go of the light. No translation will be needed. Every person will understand in their own language. The deaf will hear, the young will comprehend, the elderly will weep. The voice will not thunder to terrify, but it will resound with such clarity that denial will be impossible. Some will fall to the ground, overwhelmed. Others will shout, Amen, with arms lifted to the heavens. Still others will tremble, unable to speak, knowing their souls are being held in the balance. No one will be left indifferent. Write this in the comments: I am ready to hear the voice of heaven, because preparation is not about control, it is about willingness. Governments will scramble. Some leaders will try to seize the moment, declaring themselves chosen interpreters. Others will shrink in fear, but the truth will bypass thrones and palaces. It will land directly in the heart of every person, no matter their position. In the church, altars will blaze, not with fire, but with light. In some parishes, priests will collapse in tears, finally surrendering their pride. In others, entire congregations will break into worship so powerful it will shake the walls. But there will also be those who resist, clinging to their coldness. September 3rd will draw the final line: who chooses the light and who rejects it. Understand this, my lights. The climax is not punishment, it is mercy. It is heaven's last great invitation, its thunderous whisper to a sleeping world: wake up, choose, live. And after the voice fades, the choice will remain. Peace for those who embrace it, turmoil for those who resist. September 3rd will not end life as we know it, but it will end neutrality forever. The clock ticks forward. In the next block, we will see how after this climax, the mission of the lights will be revealed, how you must guard what you have received, carry it for others, and prepare for what is yet to come. My lights, after the sky has spoken, after the silence has pierced, after the voice of heaven has echoed across the world, there will be no more doubt. You have been chosen. September 3rd will not only be remembered for its climax, but for the moment when the Virgin placed a mission into your hands. Because light is never given just to be admired. Light is given to be guarded, carried, and shared. From that day forward, every light will walk with responsibility. What you receive on September 3rd is not for you alone. It is for your family, for your community, for your nation. The world will tremble in confusion. Many will deny what they felt. Some will bury the memory, too afraid to admit it was real. But you, my lights, will be called to keep the flame alive, to become walking testimonies that whisper, I was there, I know, heaven spoke. Type this now in the comments: I will guard the light, because heaven seals commitments spoken aloud. In your homes, this mission begins in small, simple acts: lighting a candle each night, saying a prayer at the table, choosing gentleness when anger wants to rule. These small acts are not small to heaven. They are bricks in the wall of protection around your household. Your home can become a sanctuary if you dare to treat it as one. In communities, the mission will mean standing for hope when others collapse into despair. There will be neighbors mocking, friends saying it was nothing, but there will also be those quietly searching, desperate for someone to tell them they are not crazy. That's where you come in. You will say, I felt it too. You are not alone. And those words may save a soul. Write this with me: I will carry hope for others. Because sometimes your hope will be the only rope someone else can hold on to. On the national level, your mission will be courage. Nations will still argue. Leaders will still fumble. But in living rooms, in workplaces, in schools, lights will become the true backbone of their lands. Your witness, ordinary words spoken with conviction, will be more powerful than speeches from podiums. In the church, the mission will be fidelity. Temples will surge with fervor in the days after September 3rd, but emotions fade. The Virgin is calling not for a moment of enthusiasm, but for a lifetime of commitment. Attend, pray, support your priests, keep the sacraments alive. Because after the climax, the danger will not be disbelief, it will be forgetfulness. And yes, my lights, you will be tested. People will tell you to move on. They will laugh. They will grow tired. But you must not let the light be smothered. The flame entrusted to you is not fragile if you guard guard it. Say this with me now. I will not let the light go out. Declare it, seal it, believe it. Do not underestimate your role. You may think, who am I? Just one person. But remember, one candle can ignite thousands. The Virgin is not gathering the powerful of the world. She is gathering the faithful, the simple, the ones willing to shine quietly, steadily, endlessly. Share this message, because if someone receives the light but does not guard it, it will fade. But if you remind them, if you hold them steady, they will remain. This is how an army of lights grows, not with violence, but with perseverance. September 3rd will not end your story. It will begin it. The climax was the awakening, but the mission is the journey. From that day, every light becomes a custodian of hope, a lamp in the window for those still wandering in the night. The clock ticks on, and in the next block, I will tell you about the tests that will come after the mission, the shadows that will try to smother the light, and how you can stand firm against them. My lights, September 3rd, will awaken the world, yes. It will pierce the skies, silence the cities, shake nations, and set fire to hearts. But know this, revelation is always followed by trial. The enemy does not surrender ground without a fight. After the climax, after the voice, after the mission has been placed in your hands, shadows will rise to smother what was given. This is the law of the Spirit. What is received must be tested. The first test will be doubt. On September 4th, some will wake and whisper to themselves, did it really happen? Was it just a dream? The enemy will plant skepticism like weeds in your soul, trying to choke the memory before it takes root. Do not be surprised if you even hear your own thoughts betray you. Maybe I exaggerated. Maybe it was just emotion. Recognize it for what it is, a trap. Say this with me right now. What I saw was real. Write it in the comments so heaven sees you refuse the lie. The second test will be fatigue. The days after September 3rd will feel heavy. Some will feel exhausted, drained, as if their very strength has been stolen. Prayers that flowed easily during the climax will suddenly feel like lifting weights. This too is an attack. The enemy knows that if he cannot erase your memory, he will try to wear you down until you quit. When you feel that heaviness, don't run, don't give up. Pray shorter, pray simpler, but keep praying. Whisper just one sentence. Virgin Mother, keep my flame alive. Even a spark prayed in fatigue is brighter than silence. The third test will be ridicule. Some neighbors, co-workers, even family members will scoff. You're still talking about that? It's over, nothing changed. Their mockery will sting, and you'll be tempted to go quiet to protect yourself from shame. But listen, a light that hides itself is no longer a light. Type this in the comments. I will not be ashamed of the light. Because shame is the enemy's rope. Cut it now. The fourth test will be division. In families, some will cling to the light while others grow hostile. In communities, some will gather to pray while others stir conflict. Even in churches, there will be tension. Priests who boldly testify and others who say little, afraid of controversy. These divisions are painful, but they are also proof. The light has truly drawn a line. Remember this, your job is not to win every argument. Your job is to remain steady, be the calm in the storm, the lamp that keeps shining even when voices scream around it. And the fifth test will be silence. There will come nights when you feel nothing, hear nothing, sense nothing, as if heaven itself stepped away. This is the deepest trial of all. But hear me, that silence is not abandonment. It is the refining fire. It is heaven asking, will you believe me even when you cannot feel me? Say aloud now and type it, even in silence, I will believe. That sentence is the key that unlocks endurance. My lights. The tests are not signs of failure. They are signs of destiny. Only what is real is tested. Counterfeits are left alone. That you will be tested means heaven has trusted you with something eternal. Share this with courage, because some will collapse under these trials unless they know beforehand. The tests are proof you were chosen, and the one who chose you will not leave you. The clock ticks forward, and in the next block, I will reveal how those who endure the tests will not only survive, they will become beacons for others, guiding entire families, neighborhoods, and nations through the confusion that follows. My lights, the trials will come. Yes, doubt, fatigue, ridicule, division, silence, all of it will test your flame. But hear this, those who endure will not only stand, they will shine. The world will be darker for many after September 3rd, but the lights who remain faithful will become beacons, towers of fire in the night, guiding others to safety. Imagine a a storm-swept coast, waves crashing against jagged rocks, ships tossed and lost in the dark. What saves them? A lighthouse, a single steady beam cutting through the storm. That is what you will be. Not perfect, not unshakable, but steady, faithful, bright enough to remind others. The shore is still there, hope is still real, God has not left us. Type this in the comments. I will be a beacon, because the world needs you to claim it before the storm breaks harder. In families, beacons will hold households together. A mother who keeps praying, even when no one joins her, will become the anchor for her children. A father who kneels quietly before bed will keep the walls standing around his home. A child who whispers grace over meals will break open hearts that had gone cold. The light of one can preserve many. In communities, small gatherings will rise. Neighbors will gather on porches, in kitchens, in empty lots. Some will pray aloud, some will simply sit in silence together. These little gatherings will be the first signs of the Virgin's invisible army forming. Ordinary people, joined not by power or wealth, but by a shared fire. Write this now. I am part of the Virgin's army, because this army will not march with weapons. It will march with rosaries, with songs, with mercy. It will not destroy. It will rebuild. It will not terrorize. It will comfort. On the level of nations, this invisible army will become the real strength of the land. Politicians will falter. Economies will shake, but hidden groups of lights will hold the line with prayer. Cities that seemed ready to collapse will endure because of a handful of faithful intercessors. Nations that look too broken to stand will find themselves mysteriously preserved because a remnant refused to stop shining. In the church, the Virgin will raise a little flock, small but fierce. Some parishes will dwindle, but in others, the faithful will burn hotter than ever. Priests will find themselves sustained by the prayers of hidden lights who intercede daily for their strength. Lay people will preach not from pulpits, but from kitchens, workplaces, and street corners, not with sermons, but with lives set ablaze. My lights, do not underestimate your part in this army. You may never see your name in the news, but heaven writes it in fire across eternity. Each whispered Amen, each candle lit in faith, each act of mercy given quietly in secret. It all builds the army, one soldier of light at a time. Say this out loud with me and type it. I am enlisted in the Virgin's army. Let that declaration seal your place in this invisible legion. But understand, being a beacon, being part of this army, will not always feel dramatic. It will feel ordinary. It will look like cooking a meal for a neighbor, forgiving an insult, teaching a child to pray, choosing honesty in business, refusing bitterness when betrayed. Do not despise the ordinary. The Virgin builds her army out of mustard seeds. Share this message, because someone near you may believe they are too small, too weak, too broken to matter. They need to hear, the army is made of broken ones who shine anyway. The clock moves forward still. And in the next block, I will show you how after the army begins to rise, the voice of the world will try to silence the lights, but how the Virgin will turn your testimony into prophecy, making you a voice the darkness cannot drown. My lights, once the climax has passed and the mission has been given, once the army has begun to rise, the world will attempt its next move: silence. The powers of the earth cannot undo what heaven has spoken, so they will try to bury it beneath noise, distraction, and denial. They will say, nothing happened. You all imagined it. Go back to normal. But you will know better, and that is when your role shifts. You must become the prophetic voice. A prophetic voice is not loud for the sake of volume. It does not shout to dominate. A prophetic voice is steady, clear, merciful, unforgettable. It is the testimony of a light who refuses to forget. Say this with me. I will not forget September 3rd. Write it in the comments, because every declaration strengthens the wall of memory. Your testimony will have 3 breaths. The breath of memory. I was there, I felt it, I saw it. No one can steal your witness. When others scoff, simply say, I know what I lived. The breath of mercy. This is not about me being right. This is about God loving you. Speak with compassion. Let your words be balm, not weapons. The breath of mission. Don't stay in the dark. Step into the light. Always invite, never just accuse. Families will need your prophetic voice. When children roll their eyes, when parents try to dismiss it, when relatives mock, your quiet, steady words will be the anchor. I was there. I know what happened, and I will never forget. That consistency will plant seeds they cannot uproot. Community cities will need it too. In streets where people gather, in workplaces where faith is whispered, in schools where fear dominates, your voice will remind them the light was real. The voice was real. Heaven spoke, and we cannot go back to pretending. Write this now. My voice belongs to the light, because when you give your voice, heaven fills it with authority. On the national stage, the prophetic voice of the lights will become unstoppable. Politicians will attempt to spin narratives. Experts will drown the airwaves with explanations. But ordinary testimonies, thousands, millions of them, will break through. Short, simple, undeniable. I felt him. I saw the sky change. I heard the voice. These words will spread farther than headlines. In the church, your prophetic voice will preserve faith where it risks being lost. Some parishes will drift into forgetfulness, but others will remain aflame because lights within them keep speaking, keep remembering, keep testifying. Priests and pastors will draw strength from your witness, preaching more boldly because they hear the courage in your words. My lights, understand this clearly. Prophecy is not about predicting the future. It is about remembering the truth. And your memory of September 3rd will be the prophecy that carries the world into its next chapter. Say it aloud right now and type it. I will speak when the world is silent. That is your vow. That is your calling. And do not fear if your word seems small. The Virgin builds cathedrals out of whispers. Heaven multiplies what you think is nothing into everything someone else needs. Share this message, because someone out there will lose courage unless they hear your voice added to theirs. Together, the lights form a choir that cannot be silenced. The clock continues. And in the next block, I will reveal how after your prophetic voices rise, the world itself will react with both backlash and breakthroughs, and how the Virgin will guide her lights to remain steady in the storm. My lights, when prophecy rises, the world cannot remain indifferent. When you, the chosen lights, begin to speak boldly of what you lived on September 3rd, there will be two reactions: backlash and breakthrough. Do not be surprised. Do not shrink back. This is the rhythm of history. When heaven speaks through the weak, the strong resist, but the humble receive. The first reaction will be backlash. Media voices will mock, hallucinations, hysteria, mass panic. Pundits will sneer, comedians will joke, skeptics will say you are unstable. Families may roll their eyes, friends may laugh, some will accuse you of lying or of seeking attention. You must understand, their resistance is not really against you. It is against the light that unsettles them. Say this with me now. I will not fear backlash. Write it in the comments too, because courage declared in public weakens the grip of shame. At the same time, breakthroughs will spread like wildfire. People who were silent during the climax will suddenly come forward with trembling voices. I saw it too. I felt the silence. I heard the voice. Testimonies will pour in one by one at first, then in waves. The more you speak, the more others will find the courage to admit what they experienced. This is how the prophetic choir grows louder. In families, the reaction will be divided. Some homes will erupt in ridicule. Stop talking about that day. Nothing happened. But in those same families, a child will quietly whisper, "But I did hear it," and the seed of faith will sprout. Do not despise small confessions. They are the cracks where light enters. In communities, some streets will buzz with gossip and laughter at your expense, but other streets will be transformed into sanctuaries. Neighbors will gather around one steady light, praying, singing, finding comfort. Persecution and revival will coexist side by side. Type this with me. My community will shine, because where one light endures ridicule, 10 more will rise. On the national level, the backlash will sharpen. Some governments will double down on denial. Policies will be proposed to silence dangerous fanaticism. Investigations will be launched. Yet, paradoxically, the more they try to silence, the more people will hunger for the truth. The harder they press, the brighter the lights will burn. In the church, backlash and breakthrough will mingle. Some leaders will shrink away, hesitant to acknowledge what happened. Others will stand taller than ever, voices trembling with holy fire. I was there. I saw. I cannot deny. Churches where faith is strong will swell with the faithful. Churches where faith is weak will wither further. The line will sharpen. My lights, do not be afraid of being mocked. Jesus himself was ridiculed. The Virgin was doubted. Every prophet in history faced backlash. But what followed ridicule was always the same: breakthrough. The ridicule cannot erase the memory. It only spreads it. Say this aloud. Type it below. Ridicule will not silence me. That phrase will be your shield when laughter cuts deep. And know this, while some mock, miracles will multiply. Healings will occur in secret rooms. Families torn apart will reconcile. Communities will find food multiplied, storms diverted, impossible debts resolved. Heaven will confirm its voice with wonders so that even skeptics will struggle to deny. Share this message. Because someone right now is on the verge of silence, afraid of mockery, and they need to hear that backlash is proof you are on the right side of the story. The clock marches forward, and in the next block, I will show you how after backlash and breakthrough, the battle will shift again into a cultural and spiritual war unlike any the world has seen, where the lights must stand as guardians of truth and hope. My lights, after the climax and after the backlash, the conflict will not fade. Instead, it will escalate. What began as ridicule will harden into resistance, and resistance will harden into war. Not a war of bombs and armies, but a cultural and spiritual war unlike anything our generation has seen. September 3rd will be the spark, and the world's response will set the battlefield. This war will not be fought on distant borders. It will play out in your living rooms, on your phones, in your schools, in your churches, in your very conversations. It will not always wear the face of violence. Sometimes it will wear the face of indifference or sarcasm or pressure to stay silent. But make no mistake, it is war. Say this with me now. Type it in the comments. I will stand in the war, because heaven enlists you not to escape, but to endure. Families will feel it first. After September 3rd, lines will be drawn around the dinner table. A mother praying the rosary will face the scorn of her children. A father who chooses faith will be mocked by his siblings. A teenager speaking about the voice will be dismissed as dramatic. The enemy will try to split households in half. Do not despair. This division is the proof that the light has struck a nerve. In communities, the war will manifest as arguments over truth itself. Neighbors will clash, some insisting it was real, others saying it was mass hysteria. Social gatherings will turn tense. Workplaces will grow cold. Schools will battle over what can and cannot be spoken. The very fabric of society will strain as light and shadow collide openly. Type this with me. My community belongs to the light, because declarations create shields over your city. On the national stage, culture will fracture. Governments will try to legislate silence, calling the testimony of September 3rd dangerous, destabilizing, even delusional. Some leaders will seek to erase it from history, rewriting what happened as collective confusion. Others will quietly join the lights, giving protection and refuge where they can. Nations will find themselves divided, not by politics, but by prophecy. And in the church, the war will cut deepest. Some leaders will try to soften or reinterpret what happened to keep peace with the world. Others will blaze with courage, declaring, I will not betray what I saw. Parishes will split. Some will become fortresses of prayer, others empty shells of compromise. The bride will be tested as never before. My lights, this war will tempt you to despair. You will ask, why doesn't everyone see? Why is the world so blind? Do not lose hope. Remember, light always provokes darkness. The very fact that resistance is rising proves that the light is burning brighter than ever. Write this now. I will not put out my flame. Because the flame entrusted to you is not just for you, it is for your family, your neighbors, your nation. And take courage. The Virgin has not left you without armor. Your weapons are not of steel, but of spirit. Prayer will be your shield. Mercy will be your sword. Humility will be your armor, and your testimony will be your banner. Stand firm, speak truth, but always with love. This is how the lights win wars, not by crushing, but by enduring, not by hating, but by hoping. Share this message, because someone near you may think the backlash means failure, when in fact it means the opposite. It means the light has truly shaken the world. The clock ticks forward, and in the next block I will show you how in this war the Virgin will raise the lights to become not just survivors, but voices of prophecy, a chorus the world cannot silence, no matter how loud the darkness shouts.